So this house is perfect for viewing the Olympics. It's 10 minutes from the stadium.
Tracy Northcott was expecting this Airbnb listing to bring in more than $30,000 during the Olympics.
We've got 2 TVs. You can sit down and watch the Olympics. That was the idea.
But the games in Tokyo are underway, and her ambitious plan to rent out this home and about 20 others during the event have been a bust.
My properties are completely empty. Nothing. Zero.
A ban of foreign spectators due to the pandemic has taken a toll on reservations. Around 34,000 nights in Tokyo have been booked on Airbnb during the Games. Just compare that to the 200,000 nights booked in Rio during the 2016 Olympics.
Airbnb is proud to partner with the Olympic and Paralympic Games.
And that's also a disappointment for Airbnb, which made a big bet on the Olympics when it became the Games' official accommodation partner.
Airbnb was anticipating that this would give them really some major brand credibility and awareness.
Airbnb is hoping that its sponsorship investment will still pay off during future Olympic events. For hosts, who are fully independent from the app, the priority is paring losses, and the Tokyo Games are highlighting the risks of investing heavily in short-term accommodation. Northcott moved to Japan from Australia more than 20 years ago as a software engineer. In the past few years, using her own funds and taking out a mortgage, she became a full-time Airbnb host.
This house is it's a lovely classic Japanese home.
It's not easy being an Airbnb host in Japan. The country has some of the strictest regulations on short-term rentals in the world, according to hospitality industry analysts. To host guests, Northcott had to set up a proper company, pay $2,000 in licensing fees per house, and outfit some places with professional alarms and safety systems similar to ones used in hotels. She was expecting a surge in demand during the Tokyo Olympics, similar to the one of the Rio Games, when Airbnb listings revenue increased by about 2,500% compared with regular times.
By the end of 2019, we were completely booked. We were planning on making around about $500,000 US.
Analysts say increasing the number of Airbnb accommodations can actually help cities like Tokyo to avoid building too many hotels in preparation for the Games.
Airbnb is an interesting proposition for something like the Olympics.
Makran Modi studies the hospitality industry at Boston University.
The Olympics in general have been called into question by many destinations just because of the amount of money and infrastructure that is typically required to host the Olympics.
New hotels and accommodations are usually built leading up to the Games, and Modi says Airbnb provides another option: use homes that are already available.
With Airbnb, you don't really have to create accommodation that will then just remain unused after the Olympics are done.
Airbnb's partnership deal with the International Olympic Committee is estimated to be worth $500 million, according to analysts. Now, studies say the city has a surplus of Airbnb listings.
We were just waking up every morning to cancellation after cancellation after cancellation.
To help hosts cover cancellation costs due to the pandemic, Airbnb committed more than $250 million globally last year. In Tokyo, Northcott says she received a couple $1,000s through Airbnb schemes.
It would have been nice to have had more support from Airbnb.
So for her business to survive, she had to pivot. First, she targeted different types of customers, people who had to self-isolate because they had traveled or had been in contact with a COVID patient.
This is the cleaning area. We've kept everything based on the CDC guidelines. There's alcohol, there's bleach.
She also marketed her properties to locals looking for staycations.
We've got a ton of DVDs. Then if you wanted to work, we put together a desk that has a nice window, fast Wi-Fi.
Northcott says this has helped her pay some of the bills, but she had to look for long-term renters, broke leases, and eventually got rid of 15 homes because she couldn't afford the rent on the properties.
They did send me a nice shirt though. But that's really been about the only contact I've had with Airbnb regarding the Olympics.
The company specifies in its terms of service that hosts operate independently and have complete discretion over their listings.
Helping host cities, athletes, and local communities.
Airbnb still sees the Olympics as a big business opportunity. It has run a number of associated ads and marketing campaigns.
Your logo as a brand is potentially all over the stadiums and all over the other Olympic co-branding opportunities. So I think that's a big public relations and an advertising play.
One of the biggest plays is a series of digital experiences with Olympic athletes through the platform. Users can sign up to hear stories directly from their favorite athletes or get personal tips on a training routine.
To do something with character and integrity It's not an overnight success.
Modi says this kind of unique experience builds a softer image of Airbnb, which could help when dealing with locals and regulators in markets that have been tough to crack.
The credibility that you gain from something like the Olympics helps you make that push when you're lobbying government.
And Airbnb is in this for the long run, since its partnership with the International Olympic Committee runs until 2028. So Modi says this strategy will play out not only in Tokyo, but also at the next games in Beijing and Paris.
In Paris, where the mayor is really trying to curb Airbnb, Airbnb is going to use this and say, look, you may want to be a little better towards us because we're going to make sure that you don't have an oversupply.
In terms of visibility, Airbnb may still benefit from its massive marketing opportunity at the Tokyo Olympics. Hosts like Northcott say they're trying to get through the pandemic and hope to revive their business in the future.
I'm a migrant, I choose to live here, and I want to be able to show other people why it's such a great place to live. So I'm going to keep giving it life support for as long as I can.